of Backyard Progression with me, Bronwyn Kenko. And for whatever reason, this doesn't want to work. So I'm going to try to load it up again. Nothing. Wonderful. So we're going to change our capture to this one. There we are. And it's not working. Even better. One moment. Okay. Sorry about that. It's a little, just a little problem. Like, been having a lot of them lately. It's rough out there for sure. Um, I literally just did almost half of this before I realized that it stopped my stream, probably right at the beginning. So we're just starting over. It's hard out there for a lot of people right now. There's so much hardship and hard times, and I really applaud anyone who can do things because it's hard to do things. It's hard to put yourself out there. Hard to be a human doing things that are healthy and profitable and good for mental health. So, situations like that can be incredibly frustrating, especially on hard days. Um, Society often shows in media, or at least it did, when people are having a hard time, they get really angry and they get upset. But too often, our anger response is in regard to wanting to keep us safe. It wants to keep us in a place where we aren't being taken advantage of, we aren't misunderstood, which is not not the case for the most part. Um, when we're really angry, we have a lot of feelings that we're trying to process, but some of the biggest ones are that we are worthy, that we are worth something, that what we make and what we do is worth something. There's so much out there. Am I fast? No? Feels fast. I don't know why. I've been doing this for 6 years, and I think about it often. I'm very glad to have this venue because I know that if I didn't have this, if I didn't especially have this video component, I wouldn't be able to see the change I've made in this world. I wouldn't be able to see just how much I've transformed this space. And it's amazing when you're close to something like that and really just aggressively doing stuff with it. There's only so much the human brain's gonna remember, and it wants mastery, and it wants you to be good at what you do, and it wants to be good at its job. Like, even when people hate their job, they usually take some level of pride in it. They are able to figure out something about their job that they're fairly good at, and it's upsetting when people tell you how to do your job, especially if you're really good at it and they're not. But it's it's hard to see that value in yourself. Um, I liken it to a company with a new hire. In that first 2 weeks or so, you are a loss. You are not worth money. You're taking away probably one of the better employees, like making them not as useful, and you yourself are not useful yet. And it doesn't take long for you to become useful and profitable for the company. Like 2 weeks is probably a pretty good number. And it's one of those things that we don't think about because from that point on, you're constantly growing in worth and wealth and making the company more money because you're going to get better at your job. You're going to do it faster and better and be able to like engage with everyone else in ways that it's just easier to understand, easier for everyone to get along with. So the problem is companies don't have that. They don't have a mechanism in place that keeps up with the amount of money that you're making. It gives you a raise, maybe, but it's never worth what you are. Like, it's never keeping up with the rate of inflation, even when inflation wasn't bad. Like, uh, I remember in like 2009, I had a boss who told me flat out that I would never make $10 an hour working at their company after I'd been there for like 6 years. Not, wait, not 2009. Would have been 2011. um, so that's even worse. Like, the standard level of money at that point was like $10 an hour. And to have been working at a company for 6 years, be really good at my job, be really solid, take on more responsibilities, like literally like cover the entire office for like a week, only to be fired for no reason, no 2 weeks notice, no nothing. And I was upset, understandably so. And I understand that they likely didn't give me good references ever in the future. And sometimes we just make bad decisions like that. Like, but we don't know. It's impossible to. You can't assume that a company's going to have your best interest in mind. You're going to feel valued or even feel your own value when someone's talking down to you. It's it's hard, and like I said earlier, applause to everyone who creates content and make a job out of it. Uh, Anyone who's figured it all out how to make their passion into their income. Although I imagine that's one of the trickier steps in and of itself is once you've done that, keeping that joy, keeping that passion for creating, and putting together a good product. Because we all take in content, we all are big content enjoyers. So we know what we like, we know what we would watch. But like a musician, it's it takes a long time to even find your voice. And once you do, you can make some strides. You can be in this place where you really feel you're doing justice to yourself. Or not. Like you might have a voice but still not enjoy what you do. I know a lot of musicians who don't enjoy or don't listen to their own genre of music. It's a little baffling, but it's one of those things where you can detach yourself a little bit maybe when you are doing the work of a thing you really love, you have such passion for. It becomes a lot harder to give yourself grace. It becomes an impossible standard to me because you've watched way more hours than you've created. That's just going to happen. So seeing professional level standards of people you enjoy creating and expecting yourself to do something like that is what our brains do, but they shouldn't because we're a baby in that regard. Like, going back to the new employee theory. So, if they work 40 hours a week, that's 80 hours before they achieve mastery, give or take. So, we'll call it like 100. 100 is a nice, like, solid number for achieving mastery at a job. I know I haven't drawn for 100 hours. That's I picked up drawing during the pandemic. I spent a fair amount of time doing it, like maybe 20 minutes a couple of nights a week. Like I've been really into pixel art all my life. I've done curlers and whatnot. So, like, I have a concept for that aspect, and I have a concept about, like, how that kind of thing should look. But I have no voice. Like, I have no concept of what something like if I did a whole bunch of drawings. Sure, they're going to have a similar style, but like I that's just me not knowing how to do things for the most part. And it doesn't feel like that's my voice, but it is. And it's so impressive to me to see people who like can't's the wrong word. The people who actively choose a very simplistic style. It blows me away that South Park existed. That like you can make these little construction paper people and just kind of move them around and it worked as an art medium. That people have done comics and stuff like using stick figures. There's some very simplistic um, animated things that turn out fantastic. It's so impressive to me that a lot of people are doing, and too often I feel like I get stuck on the details. Like when I see something, if I were to try to draw it, I am garbage at shading. But like when you're in a situation, say I was drawing any kind of landscape like this, I would have to shade in some of these spots because that's just how light works. But that is not a thing that my little art brain would ever put together, put in shadows, or to like leave out the detail of snow. It would feel bad just to have a blank white space. But sometimes that's what you gotta do. I mean, like, sometimes that's just how things look. And it's so wild to, like, really be in living in a world that you can see and that you can imagine, but it's so hard to replicate. Alright, see if I can't get the second one working. Still online? Great. Dropping a bunch of frames? Whatever. um, so, allowing oneself grace is something that I'm trying to be more. I take last. Hope I was talking about anger earlier. Um, so anxiety is a leftover piece from when we were hunter gatherers, and we needed to be concerned because we were being hunted to kill us, to eat, or like our bodies are not that durable. So if we fall, if we have these accidents, there's a chance that, you know, we die. So there's a lot of death and there's a lot of chance for death in ancient life, especially when we don't know things and we don't understand things. So there's a need to be paranoid about the people around. I think it's Voltaire. Very famous, like, he thought everyone hated him, but like most people just kind of thought he was an okay guy. Like the mental image that we tell ourselves and reality can be in complete contrast. It's amazing how uh, just how weird our lives are because of this thing, because greed exists and you had to worry about some people killing you over some food or a person or just jealous feelings. And bringing it into the now, that leftover really sucks. And we don't need it a lot of the time. Most of our needs are met. Most of us can find community. Us have good friends. It's it's so wild the things that we tell ourselves that we wouldn't tell our friends. And I don't mean like wouldn't tell them that we feel that way. It's that like we wouldn't say to our friend like you have no friends, like I am not your friend. Like it's but in your brain you'll absolutely be like, "Oh, that person isn't my friend." Like it's so wild to just exist in this world and so far from a community, and community engagement is so weird because it's transformed so much. Like, in theory, the brain, my brain, goes back to like the 1950s as the last time we really had, maybe the 60s, as the last time we had real community. Like, it was expected you'd know your neighbors. It was expected that there would be like a little like get together or something of people nearby, and you would like have a camp out, have a little campfire, have like sing songs, do a thing. But now all of our, I don't know a single person who has that experience, who knows their neighbors, who like knows even their like apartment folk, like in a Seinfeld level of interaction. Like most of the people we want to hang out with don't live anywhere nearby us. And it's so hard because we have to have these little engagements in communities, and that anxiety is still there. That like, oh, I don't want to message that person. I might be bothering them. They're probably busy. They'll message me, right? But they're both thinking that, and it's like this infinite loop of I want to hang out with you. I want to exist with you. I need community. But I don't want to take up space to do that. And that was a huge part of my therapy. Um, the concept that my presence would be a bother was really important because it's not. Like, especially me, especially like who I am as a person. It's most people generally enjoy my presence, my thoughts and things. So it can be hard to remember that. But when we can have a more visual representation, like I was saying again earlier, I'm really happy I started doing this because it really shows progress I've made. It shows like 6 years later, I know how to do an infinite number of things. I've spent my 100+ hours figuring out how to engage with the land in ways that I wouldn't have known 100 hours ago. Like, you're you're going to get better and you're going to learn things even if you're not critical about it. Like, I was never like, oh, I don't know how to snap a vine. It's like, no, I just used clippers. Like, it wasn't a thing that was important. And we find our own little workarounds. Now I know how to snap a vine. Do I think that's a thing I should have known then? No. I had answers. I figured it out. Like, there's so many things that, like, especially in a field we know nothing about. Like, I am always in awe of artists because it's just so much world that I don't understand. Like, um to the average person, you might not have known that that branch was dead. Like, there's a learning bit, and there's like, it's so hard to explain some of these techniques and things where you've picked them up and you've brought them into your practice, but come second nature. So it's so fascinating. And like, I would not compare myself to any of the like big bushcraft YouTubers or any of that. It's so funny. Like I could maybe make a fire out of nothing. It would be hard pressed to do it. It would suck. but I could maybe do it. But I have this weird expectation that like most of them, they could like pick up a fire with minimal effort. That's probably not true. It's probably like a fair amount of effort every time. And our own expectations can be a big negative in its own right. Like, it's like before I got into bushcraft stuff, I had this expectation that I had to know all of the different plants and what they did, and like what kind of trees were what they'd get used for. And that was so wrong. Like, maybe some do, most probably have no idea. Like, you learn very key ones. You very quickly learn what poison sumac look like, and you stay away from them because it is a very notice till after there's kind of a giant nest right here. Super cool. Wonder if it's that Hawks that I saw the previous week. Anyway, um, yeah, that's another thing. Like I'm bored out of like identifying birds. Like that's I'm no ornithologist. I don't know. It's okay to not know things. It's okay to be bad at them. It's okay to struggle through. Oh yeah, I actually like fixed up this walkway too. Just so because this floods out so much, this gives me a different option to get through here. And there was just a lot of dead stuff in the way anyway. A little bit of live stuff, but moreover, being able to get over here is nice. Love this little waterfall section. Very relaxing. And a lot of the time it does feel like it's a bad idea to make your hobby into your income because it will drain your love for that hobby. It has been very interesting streaming because I put together a set of games, and normally I feel like the average person plays like one or two games and they play them like all the way through, and they kind of just do it sporadically. Like, I just feel like playing a game for a while. But when you start streaming, there's a sense of continuity where certain games, especially, you can't play them if it's because it's going to break continuity. Oh yeah, I was fixing up this pond area too. It's needed a lot of work, but it's been really good getting into this space over here and trying to do more. So this is a bit of a detour that doesn't usually get seen. There's another pond over here. Unsure what to do with these two. I talked previously on a stream about how cool it would be to have little animals and things. Last year, about now, there were ducks in one of these ponds. Loved that for me. They didn't really come back. So that's okay. But um but going back to the gaming, to it's hard if you don't have that outside game for yourself because suddenly you're restricting yourself and possibly diversifying yourself in ways you aren't used to. Like, it would be almost crazy to hear someone normally, like, oh yeah, I play this one game for like 3 or 4 hours on this day at this time, and then I don't do that again till next week. That's not really how the medium's intended to work, but it's funny how we build these weird expectations of like, oh yeah, I should be remembering exactly what I was doing the last session, which the devs pretty much assumed it was going to be like tomorrow or, maybe a couple days, maybe later in the day that you would be playing again. So, like, especially with ADHD and short-term memory loss, it can feel awful to be in that situation playing this game and be like, I have no idea what I was doing whatsoever. I had a plan. I know I did. What that is, no idea. And like having that experience in front of people and trying to understand what kind of game that an audience is going to want to see. Because, like, as much as I don't watch streams for the game, I watch them for the streamer. There are some games where it's like I have no connection to it, so it's a lot harder. Like, I am not a big horror fan. I don't generally like the games themselves. So like watching other people play horror is interesting to me because I'm so bad at it. But like I really mostly am listening to the person's commentary, listening to like how they're talking about a game, how they're like engaging with it. And they're like the arena shooters are another thing where it's just like I don't have frame of reference. I really never got into them, never really like saw the appeal of like just this skill based thing with different random aspects. It's really fantastic for the people who do, but um yeah, I just never got into it. So I'm gonna go to my chatting screen real quick because I want to finish this thought to finish this video out and then start up um, the 3DS Fantasy Life game because I've been playing that. And with those feelings I was talking about earlier, I had that sense of dread of like, what was I doing? I've started keeping notes, but even that, it can be very like, is this a thing people want to see? Is it too casual? Is it too like simple? But moreover, it's it's hard to do things. It's hard to create. I hope everyone can give themselves some space. I hope that everyone can create for their passion and give themselves room to just do that. Just have that passion and not compare themselves against anything else. Comparison is the thief of joy is a really good mantra I have for myself. It means a lot to me. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to end Backyard Progression, and I'm going to start up Fantasy Life. I'm going to check some things out. So the stream is going to go down because I am getting a lot of frame drops. I want to see like if there's some different settings I can tweak. But we will be right back. But if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to follow me on Twitch. Be sure to follow me on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, all whole 9 yards. I am going to try to make my videos more kid friendly because I got my video with a hawk. I took a long time to actually like edit it to say it was 18 plus, but it got like over 100 views. So I was like, oh, cool. I can actually get views. That is a thing that I am capable of. So appreciate that. Love everyone. We will be right back. Have a great one. Hope everyone has a better day who's watching on